After years of political debate, the National Broadband Network is a reality, albeit just in a few locations. In the past month, homes and businesses in Willunga have been part of a national trial to see whether the NBN lives up to the hype. Paul Clarick reports.
A lot of locals have come in and they've tried things that they've been experiencing on their own machines, and they've tried on this one, and you get the wow factor. They look at it and they say, that's incredible.
You're always online, you never lose connectivity. For example, with ADSL, sometimes you lose line sync.
Willunga, south of Adelaide, is at the forefront of Australia's internet evolution.
How's the weather?
Oh, weather here in Manila is great. So it's very good.
Yeah, you wanna change.
Over the past year, the National Fibre Optic Broadband Network has been installed into the town, one of the first places on the Australian mainland chosen to experience the future of broadband and telephone communication. A select few have been trialling the system, due to officially start operation in October. Raj Menon works in IT. The self-described gadget guy moved to Willunga earlier this year for just one reason.
I knew that Willunga is going to be fibred up, so I bought a house here, and then when the trial came online, I checked with Internode and they said they'll put me on the trial.
He's the first person in South Australia to use the NBN, and he's clearly happy.
All my telephone calls now are on fibre, on voice over IP, and it's crystal clear. I don't have to worry about disconnects. It's always online. So those are some of the benefits, that it stays online all the time.
At its current top speed, files can be downloaded at 100 megabits per second, 6 times faster than his old ADSL connection.
The one thing I like about fibre is the speeds are very consistent. The only issues sometimes you have is with international connectivity, where sometimes, even videos sometimes will buffer because, of traffic congestion and so forth. But overall, it's much better experience than ADSL.
Across town, the Willunga Business, Office and Image has also been on the trial and offering locals the chance to see the difference for themselves.
They look at the speed that it's happening at, and I think they want to taste it themselves when it becomes available. For example, Paul, near map, the speed that you can zoom in and zoom out of the surrounding countryside is just incredible. The speed that it's feeding the information to the computer at is like nothing we've ever seen before.
Let's do this, Marines.
Some users are likely to notice a considerable change.
Gamers will benefit a lot, actually, because the ping times are very low, and that's what you need for gaming, especially for shooters and games like that.
But sometimes others won't.
Facebook is a classic example. Sometimes Facebook gets overloaded and Facebook gets really, really slow. The NBN's not going to solve that. No matter what speed you have 1 gigabit, that's not going to solve that. The other end is slow.
For the moment, signing up to the NBN is by choice. But that will change when the existing copper network that's used to carry telephone and internet services is removed.
18 months after the NBN turns up in a given area, the copper will be taken away. So over that 18-month period, in each area, everyone will have to move over.
In the past week, some service providers, including Internode, have started releasing plans for customers to consider based on 4 speeds.
And those 4 basic speeds are 12 megabits, 25 megabits, 50 and 100 megabits per second. And the important thing is that like most things in the world, if you want to go faster, it costs more. So there's 4 tiers of price there as well.
Good afternoon, Office and Image. Brooke speaking. How are you going, Andrew?
On the NBN, all plans include telephone and broadband services.
And today you might buy them from 2 different people. On the NBN, you'll have to buy them both from the same provider. So the numbers we released were actually for that combined total. And at the lowest speed on the NBN, 12 megabits a second, which is about the same speed most people get on copper, the prices are for that bundle are in fact exactly the same.
That's likely to be reflected in plans from other providers, which is part of the government's vision for a seamless transition from copper to fibre.
And the idea here is that you can step sideways to the new world, to the new NBN network, without paying more for what you currently receive.
But how long that lasts and the viability of smaller providers is in dispute. It follows a decision by the national competition regulator, the ACCC, to break the entire network into 121 different smaller subnetworks across the country.
That actually raises costs, and it means that in regional areas, not every provider might be able to afford to connect to those regional areas. So one of the promises of the NBN, that there would be the same price everywhere and the same participation everywhere. It's actually under a bit of challenge because of that ACCC decision.
Smaller providers are now arguing for a review of that decision, claiming that it favours Telstra, the dominant market player. In the meantime, those who are able to switch over will have to decide whether their need for speed and their appetite for content requires a basic or a more high-end plan.
There are still connectivity issues. I mean, that's not necessarily the fault of the NBN. Like I said, it's congestion, traffic congestion. There's so many variables where, when you want to get speeds, you're not getting those speeds.
Paul Clarick with that story.